Now, I think that equality retributivism, or eye for an eye, is a pretty commonly held position. If you were to ask retentionists of the death penalty why they support the death penalty, I think that their answer most of the time would resemble equality retributivism. However, Stephen Nathanson attacks this commonly held position, and he raises two distinct objections against it. The first objection that Nathanson raises is essentially this: equality retributivism condones and requires immoral punishments, barbaric punishments. And I think we can see this if we look at it this way. According to equality retributivism, acts such as assault, rape, and killing another person in society are morally wrong and barbaric, right? We say you ought not perform these acts, and if you do, you deserve punishment. You deserve punishment because they're morally wrong. But then on the other hand, it condones those exact same acts. It says that as long as rape, assault, or killing is sponsored by the state or federal government, that those exact same acts are now morally permissible. So on the one hand, we are saying, if we are a supporter of equality retributivism, on the one hand we're saying that these acts are barbaric and wrong, but then somehow we're trying to justify those exact same acts. And what Stephen Nathanson is saying is that if the acts performed by members of society, such as assault, rape, and killing, are morally wrong and barbaric, then they are equally morally wrong and barbaric when they're sponsored and performed by the government. Perhaps they're even worse. Perhaps it's even more morally wrong for the government to perform these acts because the government is supposed to be more responsible than individual members of society. So, in another way to understand what Nathanson is saying here is that equality retributivism is self contradictory. It is saying, on the one hand, that an act is morally wrong, but then it is saying that exact same act is morally permissible. And he wants to reject that. If it's morally wrong on the one hand, then it's morally wrong on the other hand as well. The second objection that Nathanson raises is this: equality retributivism is not completely sensical and it won't really work. In other words, equality retributivism does not even provide the punishment for particular crimes. For instance, think of a drunk driver that, driving under the influence of alcohol is clearly morally wrong, and someone who deserves that deserves to be punished. But what would equality retributivism say is the appropriate punishment for a drunk driver? You put that person on the road, and then you put drunk drivers on the road with him so that he's in danger by driving on the road with other drunk drivers? That doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. Or how would you punish a prostitute? Think about that for a moment. If the punishment is supposed to be equal, identical to the crime, then equality retributivism is going to punish prostitutes in a very interesting way. Nathanson gives some other examples of punishments, or excuse me, crimes that would not seem to have clear or sensical punishments under equality retributivism. That's a problem because any retributive theory or system must provide punishments for all crimes. You cannot leave certain crimes without punishments just because the identical act would make no sense. We need a form of retributivism that covers all crimes and can make sense of punishment for any crime. And equality retributivism doesn't provide that. So according to Nathanson, equality retributivism condones immoral, barbaric punishments and therefore is immoral and barbaric itself. And moreover, equality retributivism simply won't work for all crimes.